Three, two, one. Welcome into the Exposed Turnbuckle podcast. I'm your host, Josh Rabick. Join with me, as always, my co-host, Brandon Liss. What's going on, Brandon?
AEW is off and running, baby.
Yes, it is. Now let's also welcome our other co-host, Dylan Schaefer. What's going on, Dylan?
Not much. Just got done training a guy named Kenny who's looking to sign a new wrestling contract. You guys ever heard of anybody like that?
Kenny from South Park.
Yeah, I think that's what he said.
Did you catch his last name?
No, I didn't get it. I just called him Kenny. That was it. I don't know.
Guy sounds like a jobber.
Yeah.
So AEW, once again, here we are this week. We're talking about AEW again, dominating the headlines with the AEW rally, which we were actually alluding to last week in last week's video. Let's get into some AEW. I want to hear from you guys what you thought was the most interesting signing. It can be good, it can be bad, it could be, something head-scratching. I don't care. Take it wherever. Brandon, who do you got?
Well, I don't really know too much about him, but this Joey Janela guy is pretty cool. I'm just going to say I watched All In when I was in Chicago back in September, and his match with Hangman Page was pretty off the charts. And I think this was the biggest surprise because he really wasn't on our radars whenever the All In rally was announced. And finally, here we are. We're talking about Joey Janela, and it should be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for Joey Janela too.
Janela,
to get
whatever.
I'm so glad we have this on video.
But for me, I think the most interesting signing was Billy Gunn as their producer. Like, he's an ass man.
The ass man himself.
He's their number one producer. I guess their only official producer right now. That's a pretty cool gig for him to pick up. I'm interested to see how he does with that.
Yeah, and he's as the agent. I wasn't expecting that. Obviously, it seems like he's going to be doing something in an agent role. I'm going to have to go with someone else, which let's also go to All In, who I start to learn a lot more about during the All Us type of videos that they were doing for the Elite, which was including Cody and the Young Bucks. And that's Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. And let me tell you about this guy. This guy is someone that is going to legitimize AEW as far as a, big picture wrestling company because he's a great talker. And I had somebody comment on, since we were live tweeting the AEW rally, someone commented, they're like, yeah, he's a poor man's Miz. MJF would talk circles around the Miz. If you put them in the same ring, and don't get me wrong, MJF doesn't have the same structure around him, where the Miz has to kind of watch some things that he's saying. There's some things he's not allowed to say that MJF is, but the things that MJF has done on the microphone, how young he is. But let's compare him to a guy like The Miz, a guy like The Miz who you can move up and down the card. You can do a talk show with, and he can carry different types of feuds, even ones he's not involved in. He can pinch hit. He can do a bunch of different things that bring the entertainment aspect of wrestling, where it's not just indie wrestlers that do 5-star matches and there's no story to it. A guy like MJF legitimizes AEW.
Whenever I heard of MJF, I said, who the heck is this chooch? But now he is part of the brand. And Josh, you were talking him all up and down the card. You're hoping he can be a mid-carder. You're hoping he can be a curtain jerker. And you hope he could be the main event. So I trust your word on this. Hopefully we get some Chris Jericho versus MJF by the end of the new year.
Yeah, I also did not know very much about him before All In. I had to look him up a little bit just to see. But yeah, I don't really think, maybe even saying a poor man's Miz isn't necessarily the worst thing you could say to him. Like, you're still comparing him to one of the most charismatic wrestlers, I think, going right now. So, yeah, I think these other guys that we aren't as familiar with, that's going to bring a whole nother dimension to AEW.
Certainly. And the reason I took offense to the poor man's Miz is because I know exactly where that comment's coming from. It's not coming from in the sense of, oh, well, Miz is a hard worker. He proved everyone wrong. He does whatever the company asks him to do. And Miz has gotten a lot better in the ring over the past few years, like a lot better. And in that sense, if you want to compare him to the Miz, where you say MJF can get a lot better in the ring and kind of follow in those footsteps, well, hell yeah, that's a great comparison there. I took it as someone said, oh, okay, he's just some meaningless jamoke who, can talk on the microphone, get heat, blah, blah, blah. I've seen this before. That's how I take that, and I take it as in someone doesn't know a lot about him. They've seen him a couple times, and they say, oh, he gets heat up and down the card. Who do I know that's done that? It's The Miz. This guy will be he doesn't have the limitations that Miz has to have because of being on a WWE product, and because of that, it's comparing apples to oranges, and that's why I think MJF's going to succeed, because he's able to cross that line and then take another 5 steps once he's past that line, and that's what I'm looking forward to with MJF.
It's pretty interesting when we're talking about who we're most looking forward to in this new AEW. We picked out a lot of people that are fresh, new talents, not even pointing out the great talents that we have in Cody, the Young Bucks, Hangman Page, all part of the Elite. We didn't even pick them. We're talking about Joey Janela, MJF, and all these other new guys that they are bringing in, and I really look forward to seeing how they propel up and down the card, and not exactly just giving the Elite the rub the entire time.
That's right. I think those guys are going to be like the cornerstone of what AEW does, because, you have the big names already: Cody, the Young Bucks, Chris Jericho. You had Pac in there, which was, I think, a not necessarily a huge surprise, but a very welcome surprise. That's an awesome get for them. So like those other guys, they might be there more than these bigger names. I don't know what their plan is with those, but these smaller guys, this might be their chance to make their name a way lot bigger.